Hello, this is Big Mac's Battle Blogs, and today something a little different. A story I've learned about the events in Kherson during the Russian occupation. So this, without further ado, is Hammer, Rod and Reel, a Ukrainian modern folk tale. Let's begin. Once upon a time, in a land far, far away, though not that long ago, during the war of Russian aggression against Ukraine, the Russian invaders captured the small Ukrainian city of Kherson. In this town lived an old man. When he was younger, he had been a soldier during the days of the USSR, when all of Eastern and Central Europe laboured under the boot of Moscow's Communist Party. He had been conscripted into the Red Army and trained as a paratrooper. Then he was sent to Afghanistan, where he did and saw some terrible things. While he was there, he was wounded, and recovering on base, he helped the mechanics. He was good with tools, and one of the sergeants gifted him a hammer. When he was rotated back home, he took it with him. He returned to Kherson and built a little house with his own two hands and lived a normal life. He worked at a local garage, fixing cars, and took up fishing. He found that fishing was a way he could find peace from the stress of normal life and the bad memories of the war where he'd done terrible things. Fortunately for him, there are many rivers in Kherson and also a big quarry that floods autumn, winter and spring, and is full of fish. Within a few kilometres of his house. He was happy with his life and at peace. Then all of a sudden, the Russians had invaded Ukraine and took over his hometown. So quickly he didn't even believe it had happened till he saw the roadblocks and checkpoints near his home and the soldiers swaggering around. The Russian imposed a 24-hour curfew, and no one could leave their homes on pain of death. This meant no fishing. The old man was very, very angry the Russians had invaded his home, and even angrier that he could not go fishing. But he was an old man, and what could he do about it? There were lots of explosions in and around Kherson when the Russians came. The Russian way of waging war is why use one shell when you can use 50? Why use a rocket launcher when you can use a tank? But even after the Russians had taken the city, there were still explosions, probably dealing with holdouts and stay-behind snipers, thought the old man. The old man wished he could help his countrymen fight the Russians, but he was an old man, and what could he do? Then one day the Russians relaxed the 24-hour curfew so people could leave their homes for a few hours each day and buy food. This was really done out of necessity, because even the Russians can't justify starving an entire city to death these days and appear to be the good guys. The old man went out and bought some food and then decided to go fishing. He got his rod and reel together and headed off to the local quarry, which was still flooded and should be full of fish. On the way there, he had to pass a roadblock checkpoint that was manned by Russian soldiers. They checked his ID and asked where he lived and what he was doing. The old man pointed to his fishing gear and they laughed. "Good luck, old man," they said, and laughed louder as he walked off. When the old man got to the quarry, he realised why the Russian soldiers had laughed. A terrible sight was before him. The Russians, not caring at all about the nature or local environment, had used anti-tank mines with wire detonators flung out into the water to dynamite fish the quarry. This had killed all of the fish, and the Russian soldiers had just paddled out in boats and scooped up as many as they wanted, leaving the rest to rot. This was the final insult to the old man. The step too far, the straw that broke the camel's back. He might be an old man, but now he would do something. The old man walked home past the soldiers at the checkpoint and ignored their laughter, slowly showing no anger or emotion on his face. At home, he packed a little bag with a change of clothes and underwear and socks, his wallet and some money, and a couple of bottles of vodka and his hammer. He left a big bowl of food out for the cats and told the neighbour he was going to stay with a relative and could she look after the cat for him. The old man walked back to the Russian checkpoint. This time he was smiling and jolly. "Comrades, comrades," he said, "drink with me." "What's up, old man?" the Russian soldiers said. "Not mad our friends killed your fish?" "Of course not. I was a soldier in Afghanistan. Once we killed all the goats because we were hungry. If I can't fish, let me drink with my comrades." So the soldiers said yes, and the old man and the soldiers drank. But the old man did not drink much. He let the greedy soldiers drink it all. The soldiers got drunk and finished the bottle. The old man produced another. They drank more, but this time the old man drank nothing. He just hooked the bottle to his lips. By now the soldiers were very drunk, and they had just finished the second bottle of vodka. "Any more vodka, old man?" the soldiers asked. "No," said the old man, "but I got something to give you even more of a headache." And quickly the old man drew his hammer from the back of his pants. Bish! Bap! Bop! He smashed all three of the soldiers' skulls in with his hammer and left them twitching on the ground, flopping around like dead fish. And then he hopped on a bike that the soldiers had stolen and rode off into the sunset. Perhaps some other Russian soldiers saw him on the way, but they didn't stop him because he was just an old man. And what could he do? The moral of this story is don't mess with old people, especially old people whose country you've invaded, because you never know what they've done in the past. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that story. It's goodbye from Big Mac's Battle Blogs. And once again, to any Vatnik or Russian listeners listening, Idiot ahoy, Zalupa.